Hey everybody, welcome to another Leap mini-series. Today it's going to be short and sweet. Happy Halloween to everybody for doing this. Going to be focusing on a pretty cool topic today. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Alex Hamilton. You guys may know him as Ham. If you chat in and you work with anyone, guy's a stud. He's built a lot of really cool custom forms, which is going to be the topic of our conversation today. This is one of those features that honestly goes a little bit underutilized, but every single person we talk to typically is using some sort of survey when they walk into the home with their sales team, or what they're doing is they're using a slew of different forms throughout their sales process, or even their production and install process. All of those are still on paper, which, again, we all like to say the words that paper sucks, and there's really no reason why you should be doing it that way, given you have a digital solution in your fingertips. So for those of you who aren't using Leap, which Michelle, do us a favor, we've also got Michelle on the line. She's our marketing manager. Yeah, Michelle. She's going to drop a poll in real fast before we kick this thing off. This one's going to be nice and sweet today. Again, we're going to be focusing on just showing you what you can do. We'll take your questions. So while Michelle throws up that poll real fast, hopefully, maybe not. Michelle. I'll throw the poll in. Sorry. Hey guys, it's James. So we're going to just drop it in. Do us a favor. While you're sitting in there joining, let us know whether or not you're using Leap or not. Sorry, Halloween, I'm going to ditch the old Velociraptor hat. He's still a zombie though. But do us a favor and answer that poll real fast. It just helps us truly understand whether or not you're using Leap or not. This really helps us gauge and steer some of these webinars. So again, hugely helpful for us to know that stuff so we can shape this webinar. I'll give you just a couple more seconds to fill these things out, and then we'll keep it going. Looks like we're actually in a good place. So 83% voted. Come on. All right. Yeah, we're good. Anyway. All right. So we're going to kick this thing off. Today, first thing and foremost, we're going to talk a little bit about those surveys and custom forms. So without further ado, easiest thing that we can do is we're actually going to share our screen so you can actually see what this looks like in Leap as if we were a sales rep going into the home. So give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to switch over. Let me know if you guys can see that. Good? Yeah, awesome. So as we go through, one thing we want to do, nice, thank you for the props on the dinosaur hat, Anna. So one of the things we want to do, you guys, and this is just exactly what I was pointing out, in this GoToWebinar forum, you have a section in that little toolbar that says questions. All right, this is where we can actually see questions on what you guys want to look at. You know, if it's deeper dive into forms, if it's something that we can or can't do, ask these things throughout. Again, this is a little bit different from some of those more in-depth webinars that we do. This one's going to be driven very heavily off that question. So do us a favor so that we know it. We know you're following along with us. Just throw in your name and where you're joining us from today. Do it. Just type it in. Go. Aha. Thank you. Cincinnati. Gotta love it. Thanks, Jessica. Nice. Here we go. Sweet. Thank you guys for doing that. So we're going to monitor these things throughout. And as we discuss, again, if you have questions, throw them in this section. We'll answer them as best we can on the fly. If not, we'll take a bit of time at the end and we'll go through these things as a one-off. Again, as you saw on the title slide, this guy has created some of the most intricate forms for companies. And they started off as pipe dreams. You know, they started off as, could you guys do this? I don't know. We've never done it before. Probably. Handed it on to him, and he was able to go back in and make it work. So we're going to show a couple different things. I'll walk you through this. First things first. So as we look at this, this is Leap. You know, you can see the little green dot on the screen. All of you guys have done this at some point in time. That's my finger. So as we go through, the thing you want to note is every one of you is using this, minus the people who don't use Leap yet. Every single one of you guys are using this as a sales tool in the home, first and foremost. That's what it was designed for. That's what it was intended as. But there's so much more that you can do with it. So what we're going to look at is that is a given. When a rep walks into the home, the thing you have to note is you guys have worked your butt off already to generate the lead. You've confirmed that person has a pulse and is not some random bot online. They're an actual human. Yeah, they have a pulse.
I don't know if I have a pulse.
Yeah, right. Not right now. He wouldn't work through that. But the other thing we have to make note of is you guys have set that appointment, and someone is driven out to that home and is showing up to run the appointment. All right. A lot of effort has gone into making this as streamlined as possible, from that point of interest all the way through that person knocking on their front door. So you have to recognize when you get at that front door, irrespective of what's happened, the most important thing to understand is that sales is built on trust. All right. So one thing you have to recognize is that when a random stranger knocks on your door, trust is really not that easily built. So one of the things that a lot of our really, I would say, best practice companies or power users are doing, and I'm sure everyone does it, if you do this, actually respond yes in the question section. Who uses a survey going into the home? Just throw that in there, yay, nay, plus sign, negative sign, whatever you want to do. Pretty much every single company that we deal with has some sort of icebreaker survey that happens. All right, here's the thing. Very few of you guys, even the 70% of you that are using Leap that answer that poll, very few of you guys do it in Leap. You do it on paper, which is totally counterintuitive because A, that paper, even if it's filled out perfectly, 99% of the time never gets back to the CRM. All right, I'm a marketing guy. Every figure or every question that's answered is marketing gold. It's a way for me to further qualify that lead and reach them down the line for any future marketing efforts. Two, there's a more important thing that's happening. All right, that person is filling out these questions and determining whether or not to trust your process. First impressions are everything. So when you walk into that home and you're going to be doing this big digital encounter because you've got Leap and you bust out a clipboard with paper, throws them for a loop. So one of the things that we've done is on the left-hand side, you'll see that I just clicked on that survey feature. All right, there's two things baked into this. And first thing we're going to look at is we're going to just look at a basic assessment survey. So when I select this, it's built very similar to like your proposals and your contracts. Mm-hmm. The only difference is you're not signing it at the end of the day.
For Leap specifically, the survey section we have here, you get to create the rest of that workflow, how it ends up, who it goes to, where it ends. Like, you can decide to use this as an internal item, or you can use it as going to the customer. That's completely up to you.
Correct. So up here, when you're done with all this, you'll see it in a second. All of that information from your CRM up here in the top left, that's passing directly into the form. You can easily do that. It's all very simple how you link it. Two, as you scroll through, the other thing to note, I've made a couple of these questions mandatory and a couple of them optional. It's all going to be dependent on what your process is. You can customize these things to do anything and everything that you want. More importantly, what I'm doing when I click on them is I can start whittling down how I got to where I am. Oh, you know what? They actually saw me on Google. Cool. When was the home built? 1951, not 1591. Yeah, right? I live in a castle. Years owned. Hey, this house has been mine for 5 years. All right, cool. How long do you plan on living in it? Probably less than 5 years. Renter own. That simple. I own the house. HOA? No. All right, all of these things can easily be filled out, but like I mentioned, trust is a big thing. One of the things that sales reps can really lean on when they go into the home is people trust technology more than they trust humans. It's just our own, what do you call it? It's like basically built into our psyche. It's that important, all right? The most important thing you have to understand is this is a really easy way for reps to not only break down that barrier, but start building that trust very quickly and getting this person psychologically used to having an iPad in their hand while going through your in-home sales process. If you don't have that right at the beginning and you're using a clipboard and you're walking around with a pen and paper, that ability to switch back and forth is actually very difficult for buyers. If you get used to one process, you want to continue with it from beginning to end. So as I go through and I fill all these other pieces out, what's most important to me? Professionalism, Sweet, I can still spell. As we go through, how are you planning on funding this? You going to finance? You're not going to finance? Yes, no. I'm just going to answer the ones that are mandatory. So again, I can fill out all these. I've got my rep data already baked in. I've got the date. When I hit next, the exact same thing that happens in our contract is now happening in this form. I've got not only a summary of everything that was filled out, I can send it to wherever I want. All right. Again, we're going to circle back to that one major issue that we run into with the businesses that we work with, is that half the time, none of this stuff is getting back to the CRM. I don't have to share this with the homeowner at all. Mm-hmm. When I hit send, you determine where that goes. Exactly. All right. A lot of people freak out because they hit send and they go, all right, well, I'm going to attach these, whatever they are, my digital brochures. If I hit send, again, you can point that to wherever. Some people get that little pop-up that says, oh, do you want to send it to james@thehomeowner.com?
Email verification.
Yep. And oftentimes, the answer is no. I literally just want to point this back to my internal team. Yep. So that's exactly how we built this form. If you go in and take the first 15, 20 minutes to, just shoot the shit with that person, converse with them a little bit, lower that barrier to entry, get them to trust you, have a little bit of fun, but more importantly, start getting all the crucial points that you need in order to build your sales process. This form does every bit of that. It's very much a Pavlovian exercise. The whole ring the bell and the dog starts salivating. Same thing happens with a homeowner. You start getting them used to doing this, used to answering your questions, used to engaging with you and with the app. They're going to be a lot less resistant throughout the entire conversation. So one silly little form can do a hell of a lot for you guys. And I will tell you this, very few of our customers are really, truly leveraging this to the extent that it could be. And I'll tell you this, one other little takeaway. If anyone on this call wants to use this form, we are 100% cool copying and pasting it into your account. Mm-hmm. We would do that like that. So if you want this, let us know. We'll give you a little chance at the end of it, or just shoot us an email at info@leaptodigital.com. I want that form. Cool. We'll just go ahead and copy and paste it. Alex's team can definitely take care of you guys.
That won't take long at all.
Nope. It's literally click, click, done. So next thing we want to talk about is we're going to go even deeper with this. So now that we're thinking about other ways that we need to consider incorporating these digital forms into our process, how many of you guys send a measure check out to a home to verify measurements for reps? Yeah, a lot of them?
Yeah.
So of the total customers that you deal with, would you say that, 50%, 75%, 100%?
If they're dealing with windows, easily over half of them will have that follow-up.
Okay. So again, a lot of you guys. That same thing applies with roofs, same thing applies with doors. All of these things, you need to get the measurement right. Why? You don't want to eat that if you order the wrong crap. So again, nice. We got a lot of people in here saying, I want that form. Cool. It's all yours. Jay, specifically going out to you, man. We'll copy and paste this into your account. So with that said, you guys, now we're going to take a look at something that even exists on the production side. All right? A lot of you don't think about the ability to do this. Before we dive into this actual form here, one of the things that we're going to be doing, sorry about that. Yes, this is all. Go away. One of the things that we're going to be looking at, you guys, prior to this is, let's just say one of your reps goes out in the field. This is our estimates tab, and they end up selling these windows. All right, they've gone through that home, and you can see they've priced out 3 windows. Each one of these, they can actually go in, and they can throw in a photo. There's a window. Yeah, done. Here, we'll take a picture of, I don't want that. We'll just go in and we'll take a picture of, there we go, and take a picture of our chili cook-off beer.
Perfect.
Done. And then, done. We're going to add one more photo to the other one. There we go, and it's going to be a zombie window. Done. It's a blurry window. Yeah, it's a blurry window. It looks even scarier that way, though. I'm going with it. Yeah, right? All right, cool. So when we're in this section, all right, you guys, one of the things that we can do with our estimates is you can save these things. All right, when somebody sells a job, all of this stuff is available to look back up. So one of the neatest things that you can do is if I save this, sure, we'll just call it a window estimate, save. All right? If I was to just wipe this thing clean, which I'm not going to do because it just takes a little bit longer and we want to make this thing a nice quick session for you guys today, all I would have to do is go to my calendar, look up John Smith if I'm that measure tech going back into the home, and you can actually grant access for your measure techs if they have a license for LEAP. You can actually grant their login access to search any saved estimates from any rep that you have in your company. So if they save that estimate, I can clear all this out. Actually, I'll just do it. Screw it. You know what? So if I go in here, I can pull up John Smith. Oh, great. John Smith. All right, cool. Grab it. Yeah, should be reasonable. Yeah, this one right here. So again, I can be that measure tech, pull up that estimate, hit done, and voila, it's populated that exact measurement that we did. From there, I've already got the measurements in each one of these. That sales rep took these measurements, all right? So I can use this and go back to my forms, pull up my measure tech form, and voila, not only has it pre-populated all the measurements, well, my customer information, I can verify their cell or any other contact details. I've got all the measurements for what was sold on that job. Plus, I've got the photographs down here where I can go back and I can add, oh, rotted frame.
If you were like concerned that this doesn't show up how you currently have your products, it would be pretty easy to duplicate your current contracts, then add these fields to it, and then create that custom workflow. It wouldn't take very long because we can just take what's already done.
Exactly. Yeah, we can reproduce these things. You also have the name of that measure tech because it's all based on that individual login. And then what I can do is you'll notice in red, if I try and hit next, I'm going to get an error message. Why? Because I specifically made it so that I can compare that initial measurement for that sales rep to what my tech is going to be doing. Notice this one's down to the 16th of an inch. And I go, oh, you know what? They were off by just a little bit. Cool. My tech notes, I can say on this window, you know, remove fashion prior to install. Done. That measure tech can go back and add these notes specifically to this. And when I'm done with it, you can point that to wherever you want. Again, it's the same concept as the last one. I'm just going to enter in some quick BS info so we can move this thing along.
You can set up the custom options to go directly to who has to order these materials, and that way they have exact measurements from the tech itself.
Yep, exactly. So at this point, I have all my details. When I'm done with this, there we go. I've not only got all of my official tech measurements, I can also compare those against what my initial measurements were. So if I can see there's a massive delta between what my sales rep measured and quoted versus what my measure tech quoted as like, hey, this is the word and the word is good, you know that there's a training issue that you can circle back and say, hey, there's a massive difference between these two. Sales rep, I'm concerned that you're actually undercutting my deal. I also can flip through and voila, here's my labeled photos of those windows by room, so that when I go to install, again, I've got every single detail that I need to make not only my sales process as smooth as possible, but my install process. So when you look at this, it's just another touch with that customer, meaning that extra touch and that extra detail adds that credibility. You're typically going to see that people who use this have that, I would say, a little bit better cancellation rate than those that don't. The other thing is you're never going to run into any issues because you have a digital measurement. Like, I guarantee there's a couple of you on this call too that have measure checks that have the worst handwriting known to man. These are digital. You don't have to worry about that. And at the end of it, guess what? Same concept. I don't have to include anything here. I can just hit send, bam. That just sent back to my ordering department. They can load this stuff up, and it's also saved an attachment to my file in the CRM. So at this point, not only have I saved that record and it's all very nice and tidy, there's not a single piece of paper being used. All my measurements are digital, so there's no question of, was that a 1 or a 7? I can't tell. And then on top of that, too, you have the data to tell you whether or not your sales team are getting close enough to where they need to be in order to ensure you're not bleeding any money because you're underquoting deals. All right? So with that said, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this one over to Alex because it's honestly way above me. And to be totally honest, he's the wizard when it comes to this for any company that we work with. He's going to talk to you a little bit about the third one that we're going to discuss today, which is how to do some of these really cool custom commission sheets. Because I know for some of you guys, these are the ones that are really, 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 really difficult for you to replicate because, no, we do it so different. This guy can do pretty much anything you want. The caveat that I will say is, sorry to cut you off, one of the things that you have to note, though, is you'll note that in these tabs on the left-hand side, you always want to make sure that you label it something you're okay with that customer reading. Yeah. Every single step of this process, they're going to be looking over your shoulder, or they might be looking over your shoulder. You start hiding that screen from them, they're going to get weird real quick. All right? But if you show them some stuff like the word commission, things are going to get real awkward.
And they know why you're really there.
Exactly. So they'll know that you have room to negotiate. They'll make it really shady. It's just always have that mindset that someone could be looking over your shoulder, and it needs to be something that they not only understand, but also something that isn't going to set them into a spiral. So I'm going to pass it over to Alex. He's actually going to show you guys how you can do some really cool things with commission. Okay, so pass it over to you.
Cool. So right now, some of you may be familiar with Leap's current commission settings. Greater than formulas kicking out a certain percentage of the total sale. Sounds great. That doesn't work for all of you. There might be a little bit more complexity to it where there's a pay upfront commission to a certain cap. And
like
then,
a draw or something like that.
Yeah, at the very beginning of the job, your sales rep's going to get this amount. And then at the end of the job, when it's complete, they're going to get this amount. We can calculate all those things on one of these custom options.
Yep. So he's going to jump in and show you guys that right now within the app.
So we've done this under internal documents, and it's one of our templates currently, and you guys can grab this at any point or just reach out to us afterwards. This is going to jump into a different level of, here's going to be what we sold the product at and the percentage difference from our MSRP. And we can adjust a percentage of the total contract amount to kick out.
And I will say this, you guys, as a caveat, everybody's different. So when you're going through these types of documents, the best thing that you can possibly do, because any of you that have already signed up with Leap, you have that onboarding fee. That onboarding fee allows you to work with guys like Alex and his team to just go through this on a one-on-one basis. Every company does it a little bit different. Great. The easiest way for us to understand how you do it, talk to us. We can help you build this or customize it for you guys. So again, go for it, man.
All right. So the first line here is going to be the total retail price. That's just going to be a link to all of your items at MSRP. The final contract price is going to be something that you can edit here. For the sake of this, we're just going to drop it down a little bit. So it's going to be a little bit under MSRP. I believe it's only, actually it'll tell me, the percentage discount there is 10.19. We're going to see the flat discount percentage, and the percentage of retail is going to be what we base our commission value off of. Right now, out of the box, this thing is set up. Anything above 85% is going to be a 10% commission. After 85%, it deteriorates by 1% of commission every single time. So 84 would be 9%. 83 is
8,000, yeah.
And then it'll drop down from there. So this was one of our larger companies I worked with on this. They had very exact or precise things that they wanted to send out with their commissions, and they had some difficulties with it. Our regular price or commission formulas weren't enough to handle the situation. So what they would have is their reps at the end of the day, once they're done with their job, they would just go into the internal documents, say what they sold it for here. It'll automatically import any financing that's onto the deal just with our regular placeholders that we have. Revised contract amount is exactly what you typed above. This is taking into consideration any dealer fees. So if that was part of the job, it'll automatically calculate it here. And then we continue, percentage of retail, and then we start to see the actual breakdown of what the commission will look like. Because they sold above 85%, total commission is going to be at 10%. The specifics that they had to this was, at the beginning of the job, they couldn't make any more than $300. So we had to put some just basic math and formulas in here that said if they made more than $300, we had to cut it off and then add that expected final commission amount. So we have is just $180 up front, and then once the job is over, it's $54 at the end. So total they're making 180. I'm sorry, it was 54 up front, and then the end was 126.
Yep.
So they had a 10% up front, couldn't exceed 300, but then we can do all that mathematics behind the scenes to really narrow down the commission.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an internal document, so after your sales reps are done, they can go through this process, just enter the information, and they can be hidden. That information can go straight to your office, and that way the estimated commission's right there for them. What they can know what they're expected to make off that deal right then and there.
Yep. So you guys, one of the things that we often see is, let's say your reps go out on a Friday, they run their leads. They go out on Saturday, they run their leads. Monday morning, they come back in the office for the sales meeting. Not only do they have to turn in, and this is for companies that aren't necessarily using leads. They come back with their applications and they say, oh yeah, here's the sold jobs or my contracts. Here's my sold jobs over the weekend, and that sales manager is typically sitting there going like, damn it, now I got to go fill out a stack of these commission reports, whatever. The rep can actually get a head start on all these because A, whatever you sold that job for, you can pre-populate those amounts directly into this form, and then B, all of this can be done from the truck when you basically signed, sealed, everything's done, digitally signed and lead, already pushed back to the CRM in the home office, but you've also got the ability to go and just file this prior to even leaving the home. Granted, you obviously don't want to be doing this in front of the homeowner. This is not advised to be doing at the kitchen table, but it's another really cool way to start streamlining your processes so that your core staff can focus on what they were hired to do. Your sales reps can run their leads. They don't have to fill a bunch of random BS paperwork out. Your sales managers can focus on making your sales reps better. The more they sell with fewer leads, the higher your margins, the lower your cost per marketing. Mm-hmm. So any of these little shortcuts, these are just 3 examples that we showed today of what you can do with these custom forms. We have tons and tons of examples of how people are going even above and beyond this, just using these simple features. And honestly, it's something that's so underutilized. And people, when we show them this, the little light bulb comes on upstairs and they go, holy shit, I didn't even know I could do that.
Yeah, you're spending 4 hours doing this document or going through this paperwork every week.
Yeah.
That can be automated.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to. If there's an easier way to do it with a lot fewer mistakes, a lot more accuracy, it's just that much better. Again, you're not dealing with any human inputs or errors. All of this stuff can be linked for the most part, and it just makes your life that much easier. So again, this is really what we wanted to cover with you guys today, was just these 3 big options, because these are honestly some of the easiest and low-hanging fruit to change as of 10 minutes from now. If you want to go to our website and pull up our chat window for support, guess what? Start the process now. You could after the webinar's over.
I get it.
Yeah, right? Yeah. He's got to get back to his desk. So again, when looking at this stuff, I want to open this up to any questions. Can you do this? Or have you ever dealt with a company doing this? Throw those in the question box. We're going to field a few questions for probably the next 5 minutes, and then honestly, we're going to call it, you guys. This is just designed to show you what you can be doing. And if you haven't thought about doing this, especially those surveys with your sales teams, do it. Especially that measure sheet with your techs, do it. You can link roofing, you can link siding, you can link bathrooms. Everything that you can possibly imagine can be linked directly to those forms, and production can take it and run with it.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be one form. You could have a production form for every single one of those. There's no reason to have any limitations on this.
Exactly. You can also make it so that only certain people can see these forms. So again, if you don't want your sales staff even able to see those commission reports, or you don't even want them to be able to see those measure check reports, don't. It's a simple checkbox that you can just say, nope, Alex can't see it. So again, we're going to take a look at some of these questions and see what we can do. First question, this one's from Sean. Is there a video to show how to make a survey? I believe there is.
There's documentation and brief videos, but I think we don't have a huge deep dive into it, but
yeah, it's very simple, you guys. If you can build a contract, you can build a survey. It's the exact same thing. So any of that documentation, when you look at the PDF, it's basically our WYSIWYG editor. Mm-hmm. So when you go in, you can create where this lives on this toolbar on the left-hand side. You can so you can label this surveys. You can customize whatever that says. And then when you go back, you can just create any one of these by saying, like, I want to create a new document. Great. What do you want to title it? Assessment survey. What do you want to be in there? All of these are as simple as me dragging and dropping any one of these boxes in, saying what I want it to be titled as, and then in there, what do I want these options to be? All of that's easily customizable. So, Sean, hopefully that answers your question. If you get stuck in any way, shape, or form, chat in. We'll show you exactly how to do it. All right. Wendy, your question. Can you customize an existing measure sheet to work with LEAP, or do we need to use your format? Like Alex said, one of the best things that you can do, send us what you got.
Yeah, I'm curious to take a look at it, and haven't really ran into anything I can't replicate.
Yep. And guys, we work with some really, really complicated companies sometimes that are like, this is the way I do it. I'm unique. No one else has my special sauce. Got to make this work around my process. Okay, sure. All right. The best way to do it, come in with what you know. We'll tell you what some of the other best practices look like. Find that happy medium in between. Mm-hmm. There's always an opportunity to grow and expand. Yeah. So learn from a lot of the other people making those mistakes. But yeah, so again, it's very easy for us to document what you're currently doing and then make our recommendations to say either, yeah, we can duplicate that exactly, or we can duplicate that and tweak it slightly. So yes, to answer your question bluntly, let's do it. Next one, Sean, we got one more from you, and I want to make material order forms based on the contract. You can do that. Yeah, you can do that. There is a little bit of complexity to it because you're just going to say you have a shingle. And then you can make it so that when shingle appears in the estimate, you show a certain amount of nails, a certain amount of this, and this is a price for that. Yep. It's going to be based off dynamics. It's going to take a little bit of work, but you can create items to appear within one of these custom options based off of what's in the estimate. Yep, and I'm going to put this out there too for you guys. If you're not aware, one of the other things that LEAP does now is we have a certain arm of our company called Pro Services. So Alex's team, again, he is the wizard, as the title slide said. One of the things that their team can actually do is if you don't have time to do the work or it's way beyond what you feel comfortable doing, tell us what you want. And obviously there's some fees associated. But what we can do is we can give you a scope of work and a quote of what it would cost for us to just do it for you. And we're more than happy to customize and create these documents where we can go back and forth, tweak it until it gets to where it needs to be, and you don't have to do any of it. So again, we have Pro Services available. If you haven't done it yet, feel free. There's lots of companies that just say, you know what, I have zero time. It's the crazy season for us. We're going boom or bust, or hey, the storm just ripped through and we're putting on a ton of roofs right now. Mm-hmm. I can't even think about this. Mm-hmm. Let us do it. We have time. We have the resources. We have the pros. So what might take you 10 hours to do might take Alex 1 hour to do. So, yeah, probably. I can't have it. Probably. Cool. So let's keep rocking. Next, we got a question from Matt. Any chance I could get a copy of the webinar recording when you're done? Hell yes. Every one of the webinars that we do goes right onto our YouTube channel. So you guys, 100% of what we do, we always have a repository of this stuff. So everyone attending the webinar today will not only get a copy of this emailed directly to them, all right, you'll also have access to this if you go to our YouTube channel. It's all very clearly categorized in our video repository. So everyone has access to this once we're done. And yes, definitely show this to the other people in your office, Matt. We always love. I think the key word for YouTube is Leap 2 Digital. Yeah, Leap 2 Digital. Cool. Next, let's see here. Savannah has a question that says, we use a different percentage for windows than we do for bathrooms. How do I do that? So, two forms, right? I already know how to do it in my head. It's a little complex, but you can link certain categories, and then I would, if this example of commissions for percentages, Yeah.
If you had to break that down, I would link the totals in 2 different areas and break it down that way. Because we have the ability to really just break it down by cost of different categories.
Yep. So if
Completely doable.
Yeah, if you have a roofing section and you have windows, and let's just say you sold both in the same job, you can have one section tallied off of the roofing totals. You can have another section tallied off of the window totals at different percentages. Yep. So we can definitely help you with that one. All right, sweet. Next, Stacy. Leap is going to change my world. Hell yeah, Stacy.
There you go.
Hell yeah. Awesome. High five. And I think that's coming toward an end. Savannah says, you were told that it was impossible. Well, guess what? The zombies just said it's possible.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah, so I
know a couple ways to do it.
Yeah, so if you need to, feel free to chat in and say that you were on the webinar. Ask for Ham, and he'll help you out.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yep, you were told by the undead that you could do all this stuff. So awesome. All right, you guys, I think that's it. Unless anybody has any last-minute questions, wanted to say thank you guys so much for attending. High five.
Appreciate it.
Happy Halloween to everybody. Stay safe. Thank you so much for being a part of this. For those of you who aren't using Leap, we're going to reach out to you guys and just see what we can do to help your business. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day. Have a great rest of your week. If there's anything you need, you can always reach out to us on our website. Pull up that little chat icon in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You'll get a hold of him. Any one of us can help you out with this stuff. We've got an entire team dedicated for this. Or if you have anything specific you want to discuss, feel free to send us an email at info@leaptodigital.com. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thanks,
Have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.